Want to embed your Typeform in an email and get that key data in just one click? In this video, I'll show you how. Hey everyone, I'm Susie from Typeform, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to embed your Typeform in an email. First, I'll walk you through my form, then I'll show you how to get your embed code from Typeform, and then I'll show you how to embed that in your email marketing tool. I'll also give you some tips on how to get the most out of your email embed. But before we dive in, let me give you a few pieces of key information about this feature. Firstly, if you want to embed your Typeform in an email, you need to be using an email marketing tool like Mailchimp or HubSpot or whatever other email marketing tool you're using. This feature won't work if you're using a normal email provider like Gmail or Outlook. If you do want to send out your form via email and you're using Gmail or Outlook, then you can simply just link to the form in the body of your email. Secondly, if you embed your form in an email, people will be able to click and respond to that first question that appears in the email. This will open a new tab where they can respond to the rest of the questions in the form. So just to be clear, they can't fill in the entire form within their email. Unless, of course, you only have that one question in your form, in which case, once they click to answer that question, that'll automatically be submitted. But I am going to show you how to add a partial submit point in your form so that if you do have more than one question and respondents decide to click and only answer that first question, you'll still get that response, even if they don't fill in the rest of the form. All right, so that is all you need to know to start using this feature. So let's get into it. Okay, so here we are. This is my NPS survey that I want to send out via email. So in this example, I am a bike shop called Roll, and I want to send out this NPS survey about a month, maybe 2 months after somebody has completed their purchase. So the first question here, as you can see, is an NPS question, followed by a multiple choice question, and then a couple of follow-up questions depending on how they've answered the question, the NPS score. So if I go into the workflow section here, you can see the logic I've added to the question. So if somebody's scored NPS 7 or lower, then I want to send them to a clarify with AI question type where they can elaborate a little bit on why they gave that score. And if their NPS score is 8 or above, then I will send them to a question asking about whether they'd be willing to submit a video testimonial. And then here, if they say yes, they'll be asked then to submit the testimonial. Okay, so it's a pretty simple form. We go back to the content tab here. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to add that partial submit point. So if I go to content and add the partial submit point. So if you're not familiar with the partial submit point, we do have Help Center content and resources on what those are. Just to give you a quick summary, the partial submit point means that any question before this point will be automatically submitted once this point is passed. So in this example, I want to add that partial submit point right after the NPS question so that I will still get the answer to this question, even if they don't finish the entire form. Okay, so that is the form. And then one other thing I did want to show you is that I did add URL parameters to the form. So you can see here that I have added first name and last name and email to the form so that I can track these responses. And I will show you in just a moment how to populate those URL parameters. Okay, so now we're all set. I am going to publish this form. So I'll click publish, and then I'm going to navigate to the share panel. So as you can see here, this is the link to my form, but what I actually want to do is I want to embed this in an email. And just to note, most question types do work with the email embed, but there are some question types that aren't compatible. So if that's the case, you will receive a warning message here saying that your first question is not compatible with the email embed. In any case, we do have a Help Center article that will walk you through all of the question types that are and are not compatible with the email embed. Okay, so before we start embedding, what I want to do is add those URL parameters. So if you're not familiar with URL parameters in Typeform, we do have a ton of resources in our Help Center to get you started. If you're not going to add URL parameters, feel free to just skip ahead to the next section. Okay, so here under the advanced section is where I can add those URL parameters. So in this example, I'm going to be using Mailchimp to send out my email campaign. So what I'm going to put here is the Mailchimp merge tags. So here's the merge tag for first name. I'm just copying and pasting these here. The merge tag for email, and then the merge tag for last name. Perfect. So those are my URL parameters all set up. So essentially this pulls the contact information from Mailchimp into that URL, into that email embed, so that I can track who's responded to this automatically without having to ask them for their name or email address. Okay, so now we are ready to start embedding. So I am just going to click Start Embedding, and then I will copy this embed code here. And now it's time to head on over to Mailchimp. So here I have my campaign already set up. All that's missing is my form. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose the code block here, and I'm going to drag and drop that just right here. And then I'm going to paste in that code here. Okay, so as you can see, it's already showing up beautifully here. And if we just click on this and take a quick look at the code here, you can see the URL parameters here for first name, email, and last name. So those are what we just added back in Typeform. Okay, so that is essentially it, and we are ready to go. Now just keep in mind this process might look slightly different depending on which email marketing tool you're using, but it'll generally be the same idea where you're copying and pasting that code from Typeform into your email marketing tool. Okay, so now I'm going to send out the test. So now I'm going to go to my email. Okay, so this is the test email that I have just been sent from Mailchimp. So let's say that I fill in this form and I give the score a 9. Okay, so as you can see, it just scrolled past that first question. And let's say, for example, now I'm done with the form. I don't feel like doing the rest of it. If I go to the Results tab and I navigate to Responses, you can see here that I have a partial submission. So that means that I've been able to capture that NPS score and still have that information even though I didn't fill in the whole entire form. Okay, so now, for example, if I go back and then I decide to fill in the rest of this form, maybe I won't do a video testimonial right this minute, and I submit that. Now I go back to the results table. I'm going to refresh that here. And as you can see, that response is now completed. So the beauty of this is that now that we have that partial submit point, if somebody just clicks on the email to answer, we're automatically getting that response submitted to us. And then if you scroll to the right here, you can see that I have my URL parameters. Now, obviously, because I sent out a test response, I don't actually have any data here. But if you're sending it out to a real audience, you'll be able to track those URL parameters here. So that is it. That is how I embedded my Typeform in an email, added a partial submit point, and was able to track those responses. So that is it. That is the lowdown on embedding your Typeform in an email. If you have more questions about your specific email marketing tool, I'd suggest checking out the Typeform Help Center or the Typeform community for more resources. And if you like this video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content just like this.